I learned about this guy, Dan Wootton, from following Depp and Heard, and Dan wrote some not such nice things about Johnny over the years, and some other celebs too, and now it seems Dan's got allegations against him. This here's the Byline Times. They keep dropping these very detailed articles about what Dan's been up to, and here they actually showcase a little bit of evidence. Obviously, we'll have to take their word that it's real, but they show something. It's called MailOnline and the Sun Hid Serious Dan Wootton Claims While Attacking Hugh Edwards and the BBC. Pretty straightforward. From July 28th, 2023. Let's see what we got this time, Dan. MailOnline knew of serious criminal allegations of an XEXUAL nature about its columnist Dan Wootton in May, yet failed to report them to the police and continued to publish his work on 5 occasions, Byline Times can reveal. Wootton's former employer, The Sun, also failed to report the same detailed allegations to the police despite knowing about them since at least the 7th of June 2023, a month before running a controversial front page about a BBC presenter lawfully paying for SEXUAL images. The matter was reported to the publications by a former male not safe for work entertainer whom Wootton employed to help him catfish men of a SEXUAL interest and secretly record them in their homes having SEX. I'm spelling it out because I'm not exactly sure what I could get away with these days, but I think you guys are getting the message. A further allegation was also made and is known by both newspapers, details of which we are unable to report at this time. So obviously, they're holding back certain names and things like that for whatever reasons. It's understandable at this point. Eventually, if everything had to come out, I suppose we need to know those names. But for now, I guess they're being careful. One of their sources told the Byline Times that the Mail said they couldn't touch the story when Wootton worked for them. They go on to say, neither publication, The Sun or the MailOnline, has reported on this 3-year investigation into the personal and professional conduct of Dan. They say The Sun did cover Wootton's denials in a 143-word piece on July 20th, and that the MailOnline has unofficially paused Wootton's column. However, the failure of the publishers Associated Newspapers Ltd and News UK Ltd to act sooner is attracting strong criticism, given both took aim at the BBC during the same period for its handling of the Hugh Edwards affair. And this person, Paul Ragg, from Professor of Media Law, says that it's of public interest that these huge publications aren't reporting it. Why not? It seems to be pretty big news. They sure report a lot on Johnny. The person says it's not just public interest because of the allegations, because of why isn't it being reported? I was really surprised they didn't seem interested. So this person, the not safe for work entertainer, goes on a little bit about how he felt The Sun and the MailOnline would want these stories. The not safe for work star said he worked for Dan on several occasions. He was asked to do illegal things. He was asked to film others, as we've heard in allegations before. He was asked if his Facebook could be used, but no offer for the info. And they say, with no surprise, that Wootton has denied all allegations. Also, that this person, allegedly, is feeling pretty chaotic, on medication, and having thoughts about their life, if you know what I mean. He says communications with the MailOnline lasted until Wednesday, July 26th, which is pretty recent, and they quote him, and he mentions the Amber Heard stuff. After that, I went to the Sun and told them about Wootton and the Amber Heard stuff, evidence of which they obviously have on their own account system. After lots of calls, they just said it was for the police to deal with, not them. Well, I mean, that's selective. Like, obviously, nothing for them is to deal with. Pretty much everything that happens that's illegal or whatnot is for the police. But when it's not for them, a lot of times, like with Johnny, they make it for them. But they're not making it for them about Dan. That's the whole point. And the Sun says there was no evidence. Because, once again, as we know, they had all this evidence against Johnny, right? Oh, the behind closed doors evidence that nobody saw. I guess that evidence. They say Byline Times has verified this email. So, like I said before, they're claiming it's authentic. Dan Wootton. After Philip Shawfield, the next one on this morning who should be investigated is Dan Wootton. I am an ex, not safe for work star, and escort. I've worked for Dan on several occasions. The things he has asked me to do were illegal. He asked us to film others without their consent, which we've heard before, but now they're actually showing an email. So if they could verify this in court and prove it, well, that's one piece of evidence. And they mentioned the Hugh Edwards parallel. I don't know extreme details on this one, but the gist of it is, as they say, and what's related to us here, is the Sun and the MailOnline choose to elevate certain stories and bury others. And apparently Hugh is off the air, and the Sun and the MailOnline both reported on him, and they contributed to that, if not were the whole cause. I mean, it seems like that's what happened to Johnny. Once the media picked it up, he was out of Pirates. So obviously, moralistically, we don't want to see people lose their job over allegations only, but if these people have, why hasn't Dan? It's a matter of playing by the same rules. To be clear, I don't think Dan should lose his job, unless there's evidence, but the question is, why didn't he? Why didn't the people who would normally punish for allegations alone not punish Dan? That's the question. And the professor says this as well. Dan is a man who's been instrumental in exposing the highly sensitive details of the private lives of many people in public life, including the television presenter Philip Shawfield and the musical entertainer Duncan James, he told Byline Times. He's made a career out of subjecting others to vitriol, but now seems to want the protection of the law as a matter of privacy and defamation now that his own alleged actions are being subjected to scrutiny. Exactly. He added, during this precise time frame, the Sun was breaking a big story about the BBC news anchor Hugh Edwards, and it seems extraordinary that they would have not taken the opportunity to refer the serious allegations against Mr. Wootton to the police themselves. At the very least, this inaction and the decision by MailOnline to allow Mr. Wootton to continue to publish columns under his name seriously undermines the moral stance it has taken by criticizing the BBC's conduct in relation to Mr. Edwards. It also undermines their credibility as a serious news organization. This is a clear ethical failing that IPSO, the press complaints handler, should investigate, given that it claims to uphold high editorial standards. So the people that spread all these lies about Johnny aren't looking so credible, like people like me and you have been saying for a very long time, but now it's out there, and the more people that say it, the better. Anyway, that's the gist of this. There's a lot here that's unfolding. I get a lot of info at once. I cover it the best I can. We'll have more coming up. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be real sad about it, but I'll get over it. See you next time. Done here for now.